not going to do that because we have our most esteemed guest. Festus, come off your phone.
Easy.
One of the text messages said he sounds so cool.
I know. He looks kind of cool as well. He clearly works out, you know.
Yeah, I think he looks like he does. He looks like he does.
I've never. All I do is
He's sweating now.
All I do is eat ice cream.
Ice cream.
That's my thing.
I want to ask you a question before we get to the real point here.
All right.
Growing up in East London.
Yeah.
Worked in there and everything. And you're not a West Ham supporter, are you?
Why'd you have to go there, though?
No, I know Empress is looking at me hard, right? Because sports is not what we should be talking about. But I need to break this up. So you're a West Ham supporter then? No, you've got to clarify here. It's on the record.
Well, I grew up not too far from
the man is trying to get elected for a very important position.
Listen, all I'm going to say is this.
Listen,
Arsenal would have won the Premiership this year if it wasn't
for
for the coronavirus thing. Yeah.
So you're an Arsenal supporter?
Listen, when was the last time you guys won a trophy?
Luton Urban Radio.
Right, we're gonna get back. We're gonna get back right. And can I just say a massive happy birthday to Twinty. And your twin sister, of course, KD.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good evening,
happy
going
birthday,
out to
ladies.
D Bailey as well.
Happy birthday.
Sorry.
Hi, D.
Yeah, Leonard Wizard. And of course, management as well. We want to thank management at Luton Urban Radio as well. We forgot to do that.
We need to thank management, whoever they are at Luton Urban Radio.
Absolutely.
Okay, before we went to the break, Festus, I asked you a very loaded question.
I still remember the question. I have to repeat it. I get it.
I'm going to repeat it just in case people have just tuned in again.
Okay.
So the question is, it starts with a statement and then we go into the question. It is a well-known fact that poverty is linked to crime. What are you doing to empower Black grassroots community organisations or individuals by way of redistribution of resources?
Well, the only resource that I think I have to redistribute is knowledge, and experience. So
not money.
Well, funny you say that. I have helped, and I'm not going to name any names. I have been able to support some organisations in Bedfordshire, by way of support with some of their events, things that they're doing locally to help different communities. I'm fortunate I can do that, so I have, given some of my own pocket to support them. So I put my money where my mouth is. Okay. In that regard, but in terms of supporting young people, if you want to say Black people, that's fine as well. But I like to think that I'm able to reach out to everyone. That's right. Not just Black people. I have mentored young people in prison before to try and help them to make better decisions.
No, but do you agree, obviously, because, the role that you're hoping to be elected into, it's very, very rare to see a Black candidate going up for such a role.
I think I'm the only Black candidate in the country.
So therefore, I know you're talking about an all-encompassing community and you're not necessarily standing up for just Black people, which is an honourable answer. But at the same time, you need to realise that a lot of the Black community, because it's such a rare role for a Black person to be hoping to fulfil, they're going to look to you where they feel that they haven't had a voice.
No pressure.
It's monumentous, right?
Yes, I know.
You yourself have admitted that are you the only Black candidate nationally
that I know of anyway. Right,
and I've done my homework. You are. So it's only natural that members of the Black community are going to be looking up to you as like the Messiah per se.
And can I just say this? It's the Conservative Party that's elected.
Right.
The only Black PCC candidate.
Right. So naturally, a lot of Black people in particular are going to be looking to you for more of a platform, more representation, especially when they feel that they've been neglected historically.
The reality is this, that I think, like I said, my backstory is what it is. I can't change that. It is who I am. It is part and parcel of me, and I cannot deny that any more than I can deny that I am bold.
Right.
So that will obviously come into play, and of course, I want to be able to inspire young Black boys, young Black girls to achieve their potential. I want them to feel like they are part and parcel of the greatness of this country that their ancestors helped to build. Festus? Well, I will be reaching out to them. I will be, talking very point blank to them. The reality is this.
I'm being very specific here. So how are you going to reach out to them?
Well, there are many organisations who are already doing a great job.
Do you think those organisations are representing the community as a whole, though?
Well, there are those who do that, but I can go into the schools.
Okay.
You know, the schools I think the schools are very important.
I told you I'm a bad cop, right?
You're doing good. You should be badder.
Are you sure?
Yeah, you go for it. You go for it. I would want to work with the schools. I would directly want to engage with families. Because I think by more and more of these young people, and even their parents, ideally, seeing me, listening to me, talking, and then hopefully they can say, well, look, if you can be where you are now,
right?
Maybe, just maybe, my son or my daughter can do it as well. But I hope it will not just be restricted to the black community, and it will be applicable to the Asian community,
absolutely,
the white community, all communities.
Absolutely. It's a huge platform to be in. Now, here's a question. Along your path of growing up, along the education, along running the business, and obviously your family, who would you say have been your role models as you've grown into who you are today?
Without question, my dad.
Mm-hmm.
He's dead now. Mm-hmm. He was a man who, when we came here from Nigeria, he had to work 3 jobs as a cleaner. And I'll never forget, and this is a guy who was pretty well to do in Nigeria before they came here. And I remember one day he came home one night and said, well, kids, I've got a new job. And I'm like, oh, great. So it's not going to be a cleaning job anymore, Dad. He's like, well, I've got a job as the cleaner at the new McDonald's in Canning Town. And he was so proud of that, and it was the new McDonald's in Canning Town. It was in a Nigeria. Like, how can you be proud of doing that? So when I was a kid back then, for me, it was like, cleaning, how can you be proud of that? But now that I'm older, he was working 3 jobs. So he would do the job at, Burton's Menswear in the morning. Then he would go to do his, job as a porter at, estate porter at Tower Hamlets Council. Then in the evening, he'll go to the cleaning job at McDonald's. And that was pretty much what he did to put food on the table, to pay the bills. And he taught me a huge amount. And without question, he's always been my role model.
Sure.
You're blessed, Festus.
And
I'm sorry to keep coming back to the black thing. Well, actually, I'm not, right? And it's not just a black thing, actually. So that's unfair. I'm going to take that back. A lot of our young people don't have father figures that they can be proud of, right? So you're blessed. I'm blessed to have fathers.
Yeah.
A father,
and of course, I've got to say my mum as well, who put up with him for all those years before he passed away. And thankfully, mum is still around. Hi, mum. She means the world to me. And then I've got great sisters and brothers who...
So you've got a great family network.
I was very blessed with that, yes. And then hopefully I'm trying to do the same for my kids as well.
Okay.
And of course, these are some of the characters that have made who you are. And as Empress says, perhaps what we're lacking in our community, those role models, father figures, even from the continent. You don't literally have to be my uncle, but you can be a role model in my home.
I'll call you Uncle anyway. You're Uncle Lenny.
I love that. Nothing to do with my grey beard, no?
No, I've got a grey beard as well.
Good to know. Hey, listen, if you want to send us more questions, we have our very special guest right here. Of course you can. We're on 07908974543. Now, you have a website. It's sort of...
yes.
People can follow you now.
Yeah, it's Fest, FEST 4 beds, pcc.co.uk. So it's www.fest4bedspcc.co.uk, and on Twitter it's at fest4bedspcc, and same thing as well on Facebook.
We're coming back to your great name itself, Festus Akinbusoye.
Yes.
What does the surname mean?
Well, first of all, I'll go with the first name. First of all, Festus, that's a Latin name. And every day when people call my name, they are speaking Latin. Festus, derives from the word festivus, which means happy and festival and celebration, that kind of thing. So
Carnival.
Yes, that's what Festus means. And Akinbusoye is in the Yoruba tradition. Names have a literal meaning in the language, and Akin is a title that is used almost like a knight It's the kind of warriors, people who defend the realm, kingdoms, that kind of thing. And Busoye would mean jumps for joy or jumps, So if you put it together, it would be like a brave, courageous person, jumps for joy, that kind of thing.
A person of your esteem who grew up in East London, lives in the country and runs his own business, employing more than 60 people. He has mentored young offenders, was a parish councillor, and sat on the board of further education. So the meaning of your name has brought you to where you are today.
Amen.
I believe that. Hey, you know what? I'm just feeling comfortable. You chose that track, the happy feelings, and Festus means festival happiness. I think we're on the right track.
I think we're on the right track.
But
the bad cops come back.
Oh yeah, there we go. You are logged onto Luton Urban Radio, of course, on a very special night with our very special guest, of course, selected by the Conservative Police and Crime Commissioner candidate. Now, of course, this election was going to take place this year, the 7th of May, 2020. But because of what's been happening, what they call it,
COVID-19.
COVID-19 is now going to be postponed. Mm-hmm. As we're going through we asked this before, the crisis of the youth, the crisis of the media, the crisis of what we're seeing today. I saw an article with one of these ministers, I think Singapore minister. He came out and he spoke to his people, don't panic, take your time, we're going to go through such and such. Upon your election, or perhaps selected as a candidate, we're asking this question again. Are you going to stand firm to defend those i.e. in poverty, those are in misfortunate circumstances, and the young people? We're not using color, but we know there are so many disadvantaged young people who want a light, an opportunity.
Yes. Well, I absolutely, because if I want our police officers to be able to focus on the real jobs that they came into policing to do, which is to catch criminals, we have got to do a better job in tackling the causes of crime, of which there are so many different facets to this. So yes, absolutely, I will want to commission programs that will divert people away from a life of crime. I will want to commission programs that looks after victims of crime. I want us to have the best victim support services in the country. I'm ambitious for that. I want, and I see the young people who are being trapped in this thug life, gang life, all this kind of big man thing and all that kind of, I see them as being very, very ill-informed, and they need support. But so yes, I think that myself as a police and crime commissioner, I can actually engage with some of these young people in the way that very, very few PCCs can do. Because I understand their language, I understand their world, and I can help them to realize that actually there's so much more that they can achieve. There's so much more, and whatever fake dreams these guys or women are offering them, it is going to be so short-lived, and they are very disposable, and that is not life. There is nothing that it is just a fancy dream. It is not going to help them to achieve what they want to achieve in the long term.
Okay.
Keep with your questions coming through 07908 974 543.
Okay.
The question obviously we asked you earlier, and of course, what will be your policing, what will be your difference? I want to ask another question here. What are your greatest concerns for policing in our country, and how do you plan to address this?
In our county.
In our county. Yeah. Well, one of my greatest concern right now is our budget. We are currently funded as a rural policing area. Even though we have the same, Bedfordshire Police is funded as a rural policing area, even though we have the same, or if not more, of the crime challenges that your large urban metropolitan areas have. So just to give you a statistics, Bedfordshire is third on the list of policing areas most at risk of terrorism, counter-terrorism activity. Right. So there's a lot of that in Bedfordshire. Last year we had one of the highest, if not the highest, rate of increase in knife crime in the whole country.
Wow.
If in the entire eastern region of the United Kingdom, which is made up of 7 police forces, including large police forces like Essex and Kent and those kind of areas, 40% of all the firearms discharged in the entire eastern region is in the Bedfordshire police area.
Wow.
40% of the guns fired is in our county. Right, these are the kind of problems you get in London or Manchester or Birmingham, where we are funded.
But yet you're saying that the county is funded as a rural area.
Correct. It's all part of a very, very ridiculous, in my opinion, and thoroughly outdated, what they call a funding formula. And we need these. And if I became the Police and Crime Commissioner, I will be fighting tooth and nail to make sure that the government revisits this funding formula, because the funding formula was something that was done many, many, many years ago, where Bedfordshire was just a small, quiet county. But things have changed. So we're having to rely now on special grants from the government to plug the gaps in our budget, because the demand on our police officers and their resources are so great, and we need to fill those. So we're having to, and this is where one of the areas that Catherine, the current Police and Crime Commissioner, has done a fantastic job in getting the government to give us about 4.571 million pound grant over the last 2 years to cover these gaps. But that's just not sustainable. You know, we need the government to realize that in Bedfordshire we have got some serious problems, and we are not a quiet rural community county at all. There's some areas that need serious policing.
Would you say that Luton needs serious policing? Seeing as you're in Luton now.
Well, Luton, as far as I'm aware, and Bedford, I think they probably take up about 50%. Or 60% of the police resources. Luton. I think it's Luton alone.
Wow.
But there's some challenges that we're now starting to see in Bedford as well.
So that would suggest that Luton is a hotspot for crime then?
Well, look, I wouldn't want to label any area as a hotspot of anything. You've just given us the figures, so you've basically said that. But then you could argue and say, well, Luton is a highly socially deprived area, because you've talked earlier on about the link between poverty, social deprivation, and crime. So that could be. There's so many different factors for this. But Luton obviously is a high density area, with a large population, and inherently, when you get a large population in a very close proximity, sometimes that is what you get. But it doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't have to be like that. We can begin to deal with that, and that's what I would like to do.
Luton Urban Radio, The Pulse.
Well, you know, it's so great having you and the way you're expressing and so on. Are you, obviously, now it's been postponed because of this situation right now. Will you be able to be going around giving counselling, talking to people, or maybe giving little seminars talk? Because I think many people who are listening to the show want to hear effectively the budget, how you're going to be, you know, helping to be major.
You've got you've got just over a year now, right? So and to be honest, Festus, before we connected, which was about a fortnight ago, right? Number one, I didn't know there was an upcoming election. Number two, I had no idea that the police crime commissioner was affiliated to a political party. This is all new to me.
Because it isn't. PCCs are usually not as party political as MPs are.
Okay. I didn't know that so I didn't know that us, the electorate, were voting in a new police crime commissioner.
Yes.
And I think a lot
the election is every 4 years.
Right. 4 years, yeah. And I think a lot of people were unaware of that. So you've got a whole year now to get to know your communities.
I am working hard. Obviously, I have to be very careful given the spread of the current situation with coronavirus.
Right.
I'm taking that very seriously.
Right.
I've got young children as well.
How are you dealing with that? From your perspective?
Did I shake your hand when I came in here?
Oh, that was quite discouraging from an African perspective.
I promise you,
we do shake hands.
I promise you, it was not personal.
Okay.
But obviously, keeping some social distance where that's necessary.
That's the problem we're having. Social distance. What does that actually mean? Distance? I don't understand.
Well, I think people just need to be very mindful. Do I really need to go to a large gathering of people? Do I need to go to an environment where I could potentially infect other people? Even if I don't know that I've got it, do I want to be infected as well? It's just about us being careful about being in a large groups of people.
Sure.
That's what it is. So I'm happy. So for example, I'm not knocking on doors now and talking to people on the doorsteps anymore.
Was you doing that before?
Yeah, of course. Yes.
In Luton?
That's what we do.
I was
in Luton. I was in Berry Park a couple of days ago.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I'm campaigning everywhere. Like I said, you know, I want to be the police and crime commissioner for all of Bedfordshire.
Yes. Right.
The rural areas, the urban areas, the market towns. I want to be the PC. So, and I want to be, and I'm cool going into Luton. That's okay. Like home for me, right?
So because the area is quite a big area, isn't it? And I think there's different challenges within Bedfordshire, and you yourself have said it that the funding for Bedfordshire has been based on it being a rural area when we all know that Luton, and I'm primarily...
It's not even just Luton though.
No, but obviously Festus, we are focusing on Luton because we're a Luton based... I know, but you're in Luton now, and a lot of our listeners that are tuned in are actually local Luton, and I know that 90% of the questions that have come in are for people that specifically live in Luton.
Yes.
So apologies if I keep talking about Luton.
It's fine.
But we're at Luton Urban Radio, so you get why I'm doing that, right?
Yes. Yes.
So because the whole area of Bedfordshire is so diverse and so big, do you think, because you yourself have said it's not just about Luton, but as someone that lives in Luton, do you think that maybe Luton would need maybe someone below you to specifically focus on Luton and maybe the unique problems that Luton has in terms of crime? Or do you think that within your role for the Police Crime Commissioner for the whole of Bedfordshire, you would be able to provide services that Luton needs specifically?
Well, again, I have to be very clear that the operational deployment of resources lies very much with the Chief Constable. I am not a police officer. My job is to hold the police to account and the Chief Constable to account to set the strategy of where we need, the kind of things we need to be focusing on, and ensuring that we're making we're having the right level of resources there to make that happen. Right, but Luton, I mean, already has quite a large, relatively well-resourced policing compared to other areas. But for me to say that I'm going to, have someone specifically under me, to use your words, to just focus on Luton. Again, let's be careful that we're not just focusing on police officers, bobbies on the beat alone. There are many, many things that cause crime to happen. There are many, many things that can be done apart from just police officers to tackle crime. So it will also be about making sure that we've got the right level of funding and resources in supporting groups that are trying to help people to stay away from the life of crime, or people who are victims of crime. Those kind of things are just as important as it is to have more police officers.
Okay, we have 20 seconds before we go to a break.
I was going to ask you again, but why West Ham? Oh, you said Arsenal, did you?
Okay. I told them though.
We have 14 seconds before we go to a break. We're going to come back. I've got another massive question that's coming for you.
All right. You going to give me a clue?
No.
Luton Urban Radio, the Pulse.
How you feeling?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
You know what? I'm sorry.